Good afternoon, people. We're going to go ahead and knock this news out this evening. Or for this to be the holidays, they sometimes can hit you with some really disturbing news, man. I tell you, these this is I've read several news stories about kids, and it's really depressing, man, because these kids are the most vulnerable people in the human population. Period. Is kids, the sick, the elderly, and kids, babies and children, are the most vulnerable in our population. And it seems like they suffer the worst in this world, to be honest. It's really sad. So there's a news story that's been published about, they said in a matter of like 48 hours, three different infants have froze to death in Gaza. Three babies have froze to death. And I'm thinking that because it's over in the Middle East, that it's in the desert, that it doesn't get really that cold, but obviously not. They said the temperature had gotten down to 48 degrees or something like that. It's in Gaza. Three babies in 48 hours froze to death because they're refugees and they have to live in tents. They're in tented communities. And I already have been reporting on the news stories about how the food is scarce over there because Israel is not allowing humanitarian aid convoys to enter into the refugee camps because Hamas and Hezbollah and their enemy forces are hiding in those convoys. So Israel has limited the humanitarian aid coming in and out of those refugee camps. So that's causing um, food to be scarce and medical supplies and other basic necessities to run short over there in Gaza. So they're facing a famine. Um, like I said, they don't have basic necessities, medical supplies, toiletries, hygiene products, food, water. All of that is scarce over there in Gaza. But now, not only that, you got babies over there freezing to death. They are literally freezing to death. Let me find this story. It was on here. It said that in a in 48 hours. This is Christmas. This was, I think, yesterday. A baby died. An infant died on Christmas. Let me see. I forgot how old they said the baby was. It's so sad. It was a little baby girl, I believe. Let's see. Three infants froze to death. Let me see. Three infants. Uh, but yeah, this is really sad. It's just getting. It says four babies. Four babies actually froze to death. It says four babies died from hypothermia in Gaza as Israel war pushes Palestinians into tent camps. This was published today. The story was published today at noon, a little after noon. It's on CNN. It says a newborn baby died from the cold in a tent encampment in southern Gaza. And it said how old the baby was. In the past week, at least four infants have died of hypothermia from low temperatures and a lack of access to warmth while living in tents. Among them were a 3 day old and a 1 month old who also died. This is so sad. It says reduced breastfeeding. With the staff in the neonatal ICU at a hospital over there see at least 5 cases of hypothermia per day. Reduced breastfeeding and limited availability of infant formula has severely compounded the risk of hypothermia among babies. Health workers are struggling to treat young patients due to shortages of electricity, diesel, and other fuel. This is one of the disastrous results of this criminal war. That's what a doctor was saying. One of the healthcare workers is saying. It's quoted in this article. This is so sad. And then they have a story about the one of the fathers. One of the babies' name was Sela, and she was a little girl. You just say how old she was, but it says her father carried her. It's Sela Mahmoud Al Fasi froze to death from the extreme cold. And it doesn't say how old little Sela was, but she was an infant, and she was the fourth one. And one of them, they said the youngest was 3 days old, and one was a month old. And her dad was 31-year-old Mahmoud Al Fasi holding her, and they buried her in a little grave. She died from the cold. Her mother, Nariman Al Fasi, told CNN, "I was warming her and holding her, but we didn't have extra clothes for me to warm this girl." So she was only 3 weeks old. It said the video showed the 3-week-old baby's face had turned blue, and she died overnight. They said she woke up 3 times crying throughout the night, but then that next morning they saw her and she was blue and she was dead. So it's kids that are just over there suffering the worst from this war. And then there's another story about these pieces of trash in Colorado. No, let me get on the worst one. This piece of trash, mother in Houston, a Houston mom. This low down, dirty, rotten. I want to. She threw her baby out of a hotel window. Obviously, she was staying at a hotel, and she threw the baby out the window of the hotel. The baby was 17 months old. She's a little girl. Um, and this piece of trash, this was down in Galveston. She was 17 years old. She threw her from a third floor window of a hotel. And they said the video caught her doing it. Um, the mother was 30 years old, 30-year-old Chanel Yanko. And they charged her with capital murder. And she's accused of dropping the toddler from a third floor hotel balcony. So she threw her out the window. The camera surveillance video caught her throwing the baby out of the window of the Beachfront Palms Hotel in Galveston, where it appears the toddler fell from the third floor balcony. No, she threw her, she didn't fall, and then rolled onto the concrete sidewalk. The document alleged the baby had multiple stab wounds. Investigators believe Hannah's mother dropped her from the balcony, killing her. She was taken into custody. She was allegedly crying and asking for help and made comments about how her daughter may have been sick, knowing she had threw her out the window and killed her. This wench was 30 years old. Handcuffed and wearing a dark green jumpsuit, Yanko appeared before Galveston County Magistrate Judge on Thursday morning after spending the night in jail. Piece of trash. She asked for a phone call in court while they had her in the court, I guess, arraigning her. And the judge told her, "Ma'am, you're here for magistrate court. Please just listen to the words that are told to you. Don't ask any questions unless you need. Don't ask any other questions unless you need to," the magistrate judge told her. And there's been so many residents and stuff just been mourning the death of the baby, and they built a mural outside of the hotel where she threw her at and killed her. Um, these people are just really shook up about this. I would be too. This wench just threw this baby out. My whole thing is this: you don't want the baby, just go drop the baby off somewhere. Drop the baby off at a police station or a fire station or somewhere or a hospital, or just go take her to the social service office and say, "Look, I can't handle taking care of this of my daughter anymore. Can you take her in because I'm just incapable at this time?" of taking care of her. Why would you throw her out the window? Was she crying or something? A lot of times these people, they be high on drugs and stuff, and then when the baby is crying because they may be hungry or they may need to be changed or something, um, and so the baby gets to crying and it's messing up their high, and they already ill anyway. And so when the baby is crying and they're high full of drugs or alcohol or something, or they drunk, they get violent with the baby or the kid and they kill the children. That's what happens in a lot of these cases. And then again, it could just be that this woman was just mentally unstable and just didn't want to have to care for the baby no more. But she still could have took this baby somewhere instead of killing her. So said this lady, a marriage certificate obtained says this woman, she married an 80-year-old man when she was 23. Yeah, she's mentally ill. There's something wrong with her. She looked mentally ill just from her mugshot. She looked like there was something wrong with her. Says 2 years later, he filed to have the marriage annulled. So she probably was using this old man, claiming he had the marriage annulled, claiming he was tricked into marrying her and that the marriage was never consummated. So she was trying to use this 80-year-old old man, probably trying to use him to, take care of her or whatever. He also claimed Yanko had a child during their marriage with another man, so she was cheating on the old man. She was probably using the old man for financial reasons. And she got knocked up cheating on this old man with some worthless father or some worthless man, and ain't no telling where he is. And so the old man, I guess, seeing that she was just using him and married him probably for benefits or something or a place to stay or something, and had got pregnant and had a baby on him, so he had the marriage annulled. So she's staying at this hotel, and I guess she decides to just throw the baby out the window and kill it because she don't want to be responsible for it or she wasn't able to take care of it or whatever. So anyway, to make a long story short, Texas has the death penalty, and that judge said in the news story that they will be considering. They've charged her with capital murder, and that they will be strongly considering the death penalty for her. So then there's another story in Colorado, I believe. These two pieces of trash. This was a little baby boy. And the man was 42 years old. His name is Jarvis Sims. And the mother was 33 years old. Her name is Christina Thurman. And they abandoned this little baby boy on Christmas now. On Christmas Day, they abandoned this baby boy in the middle of the highway, in the middle of an intersection. They abandoned this child. He was, I think they said he was, hold on, let me make sure. He was 1 month old, I believe, but let me see. But anyway, they got their mug shots up here, and this was in Denver, and they abandoned this little boy on Christmas Day now, and put him in the middle of the street. They didn't put him on the sidewalk. They didn't put him on nobody's doorstep. The man, the 42-year-old man, put this baby in the middle of the intersection in a car seat, put the baby out of the car, left him in the street to get hit. So, yeah, this is it. This is in the Denver Post. Um, if this ain't evil, I don't know what is. His parents arrested after abandoned baby found in car seat on in Peckle Street median on Christmas Day. On Christmas Day. Jarvis Sims 42 and Christina Thurman 33. Also, okay, so they left the baby. They said a woman saw them leave the baby, saw the man leave the little boy. Um, this baby boy said he was just wearing a diaper, and it was about, they said, 33, 34 degrees. Left him in a car seat with just a diaper on Christmas Day in the middle of an intersection, in the street. That man, the 42-year-old man, left that baby. because they had obviously been arguing or something, drunk and high, full of drugs, arguing and stuff. And so he got mad. The woman got out of the car, and the man, put the baby out in the street in a car seat with a diaper on, no other clothes on, in the middle of the wintertime on Christmas Day. Um, said they'd been arguing, and some about the woman was too drunk, so she called somebody to come pick her up or something, and then said the man, he just left, pulled off and left the baby there, and told the police he had to go to work, so he left the baby there. This is so sad. But anyway, the baby tested positive for cocaine. The baby had cocaine in his system. So the children, the state got the baby now. It's in protective custody, and they only arrested them and charged. They charged them with felony child abuse and misdemeanor child abuse, and they both have a $50,000 bond, so they can get out if they got $5,000 cash. Left this baby in the middle, left this baby for dead in the middle of the street on Christmas Day. And I bet you they probably got more kids somewhere elsewhere. 32-year-old, 33-year-old woman and 42-year-old man. And the baby had cocaine in his system. See? And then there's another case out in California. This woman, 30 years old, left her baby at the Hard Rock Cafe in Hollywood, abandoned this baby in the restaurant. It says she was 30. 30 years old, left the baby there. They had her mug shot. Let me see. Let me find it. Left her unattended with a soiled diaper in the Hard Rock Cafe. Says Oklahoma. She's from Oklahoma. What she's doing out there, I don't know. But this heifer. Oh, wait a minute. It was Hollywood, Florida. It says a woman is facing child neglect charges after authorities say her baby was found alone at the Seminole Hotel and Hard Rock Hotel and Casino Hollywood with a soiled diaper on Christmas Eve. According to an arrest report from the Seminole Police Department, the infant was left alone at the bell desk of the casino's old main entrance for about 30 minutes before officers arrived on the scene. Tribal police officer, because Indians probably owned that hotel and casino complex, so it was tribal police that found the baby. Wrote in the report that when he got on the scene, he observed an infant wearing a soiled diaper in a stroller out in the open elements. She just left the baby. He wrote that the bell desk worker told him that three unknown men had left the baby and walked away. So three men must have had the decency. They found the baby and they just dropped the baby off at the hotel front desk, thinking that it might have been a guest or something that left that baby unattended. So they left the baby with the hotel desk clerk. Authorities said they eventually located the baby's mother, identified as Ruby Verduzco, Verduzco, of Bethany, 29, of Bethany, Oklahoma. During questioning, police said Verduso, who appeared to be under the influence, was unable to recall her child's age. Verduso, or whatever her name is, reached out to the child's father, who also resides in Oklahoma, and police said he told them to arrest her and have the state take custody of the child. So the worthless father, oh God. Police said the woman was taken into custody and is now facing one count each of child abuse and child neglect without bodily harm. And the state has the baby now. So the baby's in Florida in state custody, and the worthless father is in Oklahoma. And she's only being held on a $2,500 bond. So she got drunk, left the baby at the hotel. Daddy ain't no good, mama ain't no good. See, this is what happens when two uninstitutionalized, mentally ill people get together and have sex and procreate. They produce children or produce offspring, and they don't have the means mentally, physically, psychologically, spiritually, and financially to care for the child. See, when they mentally ill and stupid like this, you can't stop them from having sex. I mean, they get horny, they have sex, and this is what happened. They produce a child that can neither one of them are capable of caring for. And so these type of things is what happened to these kids. But because they're uninstitutionalized and a lot of them are unmedicated, they have these kids and can't take care of them. They just caught up in the moment. They mentally messed up in the head anyway, or they drunk and high or whatever. And so they have these babies, and this is the result. But then you got some fools always talking about, oh, these liberal so-called woke people, taking up for stuff like this. But this is what happens to these kids when you got two unstable idiots get together and want to have kids, just irresponsible, and the kids they suffer in the long run. This is just so sad, and this is all happening on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, that these people did just abandon these kids, left them for. They didn't take them to no uh hospital or no safe place like a fire station or hospital or police department or nothing like that. They left these kids for dead, pretty much, like animals. Just left these babies for dead. So, and they only get a $50,000, $2,500 bond. That's insane. That is insane. But they'll probably have more kids. They get these took away from them, and they'll have more. That's probably what's going to happen. It's so sad. And then the babies over there in the war, they freezing to death. It's just sad. That's why I said this world is coming to an end. It's just getting too it's getting too bad. It's getting too bad. These are this happened like I said, Christmas and Christmas Eve. Oh man. But anyway, you have to read the news. You have to figure, a lot of people say, I don't like watching the news 'cause it's just too negative and things like that. But you have to know what's going on in the world around you. And don't bury your head in the sand or watch stupid TV shows, entertainment TV shows and sports games and stuff like that. A lot of people, they don't like to watch the news because they don't like to deal with reality, especially not their own reality or, the world around them, that these type of things is going on in this world, and this is what type of evil is existing in this world. A lot of people do not like to watch the news, so they would rather watch stupid TV shows, entertainment shows, and music videos, and comedy shows, and sports games, and things like that to distract them and take their minds off of the reality that we're living with every day in this world. But the Bible tells us to keep watch and always stay aware of our surroundings, because these are the signs of the times. These are the end times, and these things are going to happen. So this is reality, unfortunately. But the more things get like this, as much as you hate that this is happening, you know that the time for Jesus to come back and make everything right and get rid of this stuff is drawing near. So that's the thing that we look forward to, even though we hear about these heartbreaking stories, especially about the babies. You know that we are approaching the end of this world, and a lot of people just don't believe it. But these are the things that must take place. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but at least it lets us know that we're moving closer toward the time that Jesus is going to come back and get rid of this stuff. And we won't have to worry about this stuff ever again. Also, another thing is with these pandemics that keep happening. There's two stories here with this. There's been a cat food recall because obviously, apparently, a cat in Oregon ate some cat food. This cat was in Washington or Oregon, and they ate some cat food that has been recalled because this cat caught the bird flu some kind of way. Let's see, from eating that cat food, and they recalled it, and they don't know how much, they don't know how many bags. This it says after cat died from Cat food. It says Northwest Naturals, a Portland-based company, recalls 2-pound feline turkey recipe, raw and frozen pet food, after a sample tested positive for bird flu. So it says somehow this cat food is infected with bird flu. How that happened, I don't know. But they're recalling it. And then there's some type of outbreak in this pet sanctuary. It's a conservation uh, pet sanctuary for wild cats, and 20 cats have been killed from bird flu. So this is a pandemic. 20 cats died from bird flu. Yeah, that's what it says. More than half of the big cats. This is in a Washington sanctuary. It said bird flu kills more than half of the big cats at a Washington sanctuary. It's called the Wildfield Advocacy Center. It says bird flu has been on the rise in Washington state, and one sanctuary was hit hard. 20 big cats, more than half of the facility's population, died over the course of weeks. It's a nonprofit sanctuary in Shelton, Washington, about 22 miles northwest of Olympia, Washington. That's crazy. And so they somehow these cats, you know how one of the cats probably ate a bird that had the bird flu, excuse me, and that might have been what happened. It says the cats were pretty well split up in the sanctuary, split up into 30 by 40-foot in habitats. It said they're usually spread out over 5 acres, and it's currently unknown exactly how the big cats contracted the bird flu. Said the first death occurred around Thanksgiving. The 17-year-old cougar that got sick on November 22nd, named Hannah, Wyoming, stopped eating and died the next day. It's killing them that fast? A day later, an African caracal named Crackle also got sick and died. The 20 animals that died include 5 African servals, 4 bobcats, 4 cougars, 2 Canada lynxes, one Amur Bengal tiger mix, Amur Bengal tiger mix, and other species of big cats. First of all, I don't know why they have a big cat sanctuary anyway. What do they got them animals in Washington for? Where do they get these cats from? What's the point of having them cats? What's the point of having a cat sanctuary, a wild cat sanctuary? You leave them cats out in the wild in the first place. But anyway, there's something going on. What happened is probably one of them ate a bird that and caught the bird flu from eating a bird, and it's just spread all throughout that sanctuary. That's probably what happened. But there's biblical times, sicknesses. And Tabby the tiger was a fun-loving pet tiger. She died too. She had a super personality. It's a wild animal. Wild animals don't have personalities. Every time I'd come up, she'd be running to meet me. These people are crazy. Only 17 of the 37 cats once housed at the sanctuary are left. So this bird flu has killed half of this, well, more than half of this sanctuary's population. So, and they said one cat is in critical condition, fighting to regain the use of his back legs. The sanctuary is currently under quarantine. Close the sanctuary down. You don't need it anyway. What do you got these exotic animals in this sanctuary anyway? Either put them animals down or release them back into the wild. What do you have this sanctuary for? I don't understand. They're wild animals. Leave them out in the wild where they belong. Leave them in their habitat. That's just, I don't, this is stupid. But anyway, yeah, I don't get it. I don't understand. But yeah, just FYI, if you do have cats, which I don't care for cats, I don't care for dogs either. But there is a pet food that is being recalled because it's killing cats. It's because it's got bird flu in them, and they even killing big cats. I didn't know that it would kill them that quick in a day or two. There was a story too. I'm not posting it on here, but there was a story about a restaurant owner in Vietnam serving dog meat because I guess it's legal to eat dogs and cats in Vietnam. And it says the restaurant owner serves dog meat. at his establishment and said he died from rabies. And they said he died like the next day after catching rabies. But they serve dog meat over in Vietnam. They eat dogs and cats over in Vietnam. And that restaurant owner died after catching rabies. He died like the next day. That is insane. But yeah, what else is going on in the news? Apparently, these people are have figured out a way. They're trying to go to the sun. It says NASA probe traveling towards the sun set to break records. Whatever record it is, they're not going to be able to. I don't know why they keep trying to play God and go to places that they biologically, physically do not have any chance of surviving. So they are trying to reach the sun, and they said they broke a record. Okay, what is the record you broke? Uh, but you broke the record that the sun is what 20 million miles away, and you reach 4 million miles. What is the record you broke? Because they're not gonna ever be able to reach the sun without getting burnt to a crisp. First of all, they're not. It's just not gonna happen. Broke stunning records. Whatever. These people are, and this is, and money goes toward this type of stuff. It says NASA spacecraft just plunged into the sun and broke stunning records. It's the fastest human-made object ever. This thing, I guess, this object that they created, NASA created, travels at a blazing speed through the sun's atmosphere. It says the Parker solar probe, equipped with a robust heat shield, made the closest ever approach to our dynamic star, which is the sun, coming some 3.8 million miles from the stellar surface. So, oh, good. So it traveled 3.8 million miles from the sun. That's 7 times closer than any other probe. The mission is designed to fly into the sun's corona or outer atmosphere, which spawns many of the powerful solar storms and weather that impact the Earth. To understand our star's behavior, a craft had to go where no craft had gone before. Three something over almost 4 million miles from the sun, and y'all think that's an accomplishment? What is the point? These people are stupid. I'm telling you, they really are. They're trying to play God. They want to be like God. You're 3 million miles away from the sun. 3.8, 4 million miles away from the sun. And they did this on Christmas Eve. The probe will be in position to send a beacon tone to Earth on December 27th, which will confirm its safety. That thing is going to burn up. Watch it burn up. To make this record breaking pass, the nearly 10-foot long probe has made 22 orbits around the sun. Who cares? They said it moves real fast. They said it can move. It's like going from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. in 1 second. That's how fast this thing travels. And it's the fastest human made object ever. So it's like going from DC to Philly in a second. Wow. I mean, it's a fast object, but still, what's the point of you going to the sun for? You're not going to be able to reach the sun. The thing is going to burn up. But this is the money that they're wasting, and this is what they're doing. Just, it's stupid. It's going places they have no business going because they want to play God. They want to be God so bad. But anyway, there's also this story about Donald Trump's deportation plan. The border czar that's coming in, Tom Homan. He's going to come in. They said as soon as Trump is inaugurated, January 20th, from day one, they're going to begin this mass deportation operation here in the States, rounding up these migrants, these illegal immigrants, undocumented uh, immigrants, and they're going to start deporting them. And they're going to hunt them down and get them out of here. And Holman is saying it's going to cost about $86 billion. And you got these people talking against this and not wanting it, but you have to understand that the $86 billion that they spend on this operation is going to cost a lot less than having them remain here. You know, on government assistance and just the you know okay, so here, Donald Trump has threatened to um, have a soft invasion of Mexico in response to these illegals coming over here, committing these violent crimes, flooding this country with fentanyl, um, smuggling human beings over here, and just draining resources in cities all over the country. And Trump is threatening to do a soft invasion of Mexico as a result. And people are actually against this, but you have to understand, even in the biblical times, people would fortify their cities and um, their cities, their towns, their countries, their communities. People will fortify their areas, to protect it from being invaded. So this is not a bad thing that he's doing. To keep people from illegally entering and invading this country, because you got to also realize that a lot of these illegals are coming in through South America and through Mexico from other countries like China and the Middle East and places like that. They're not just Mexicans and South Americans and Haitians coming in. They're coming in from all over the world through Mexico, through South America. So that's the reason why Donald Trump is saying, we might have to do a soft invasion because, of course, America's army can easily defeat the cartels. But it is the cartels that are responsible for the human trafficking, the human smuggling that's bringing these illegals over here. Also for the drugs, the fentanyl. And, we're getting a lot of these criminal cartel members that are breaking into this country and committing these violent crimes. So something has to be done. This outgoing administration, they fumbled this border migrant crisis big time. And something has to be done. And yes, Donald Trump is going to have to come in and clean up this mess. So I don't know why anybody would be against this. Um, the only way is if they start impinging upon the rights of people who are really American citizens. You know, um, that's the only way they start abusing people's rights and stuff. But all these undocumented illegals that's coming over here and gaming the system, committing these crimes, flooding our country with deadly drugs, um, draining the resources, driving down wages and stuff. And these stupid people, these woke individuals, so-called woke people, are against the incoming administration taking, taking aggressive action to alleviate these problems within our borders. No, nuh-uh. I agree with them 100%. I'm all for it. So, anyway, that's it, y'all. I'm gonna cut this short. But yeah, this is what's going on, man, for the holidays. This New Year is gonna be a very tumultuous New Year. Just I'm not gonna sit up and speak sunshine and rainbows and stuff because we are in for a very eventful New Year. That's coming in what next week, 2025. So we just have to stay prayed up. Um, all of us who belong to the Lord, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, we just have to keep watch and stay prayed up, and just know that the more this type of stuff is happening, the closer we are to Him returning and getting us out of here, so we don't have to deal with none of this stuff anymore. So, like I said, if you have not been baptized, blood washed, and born again in the name of Jesus Christ, then please do so as soon as possible. Make the decision, the best decision you'll ever make in your life, to do so right now. Seek Jesus while he can still be found. That's all I can say. We like Noah. We keep warning people and telling people we like Noah. They called Noah crazy. They laughed at him. They didn't pay him no attention. They buried their heads into whatever distractions they were involved in at his time, just like they're doing now. They just going on partying and getting high and watching TV and shucking and doing all kind of foolishness, and they're not paying attention to what's going on in the world and what's going on around them, even in their own families, in their own communities. They're ignoring all of the signs. And so we just have to keep warning people and telling people like Noah did back in his day, as in the days of Noah, like the Bible said. We just got to keep warning people and telling people that all of these things are happening, you know, and Jesus told us that these things would happen. These are Bible prophecies being fulfilled. They're unfolding each and every day, every second, every minute, every hour. And the time is coming to a close. And we want everybody, as many people as possible, to we don't want you to have to suffer through the 7 year tribulation that's about to come on this earth. So, if you haven't been saved, get saved now. And what we mean by getting saved is that when Jesus comes back, he's going to rapture the church away from this world so that we don't have to suffer. Nobody that accepts Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, as our Lord and Savior, will have to suffer through this 7 year tribulation, this hour of wrath, the day of the Lord that is going to happen to this earth very soon. If you're saved, you will be saved from that. That's what being saved means. And so if you're not saved, get saved now. And if you got family members, you got loved ones who are not saved, pray and ask the Lord to put it on their hearts to get saved before these things take place. But in the meantime, we're still going to keep snatching people out the fire. I mean, as Christians, it is our duty, it is our responsibility to warn people, snatch as many people out the fire as we can. And that's what we're here to do. And that's what I'm going to do. And I will be back tomorrow. So God bless you. Live nothing happen. God grant it, Lord willing, I will be back tomorrow. And I'm just going to keep doing what I do until Jesus comes back and gets us and takes us away from this foolishness. So, all right, y'all. Be blessed. Again, peace.
We began in the United States, where Donald Trump's border czar pick Tom Homan gave an interview to Fox Business on Tuesday where he revealed concerning details about the proposed mass deportation plans. Homan said the White House would require $86 billion from Congress just to launch the mass deportation effort, and the cost would go even higher once the deportations actually begin. Now, Homan agreed that Donald Trump's proposal was indeed expensive and that it would be up to Congress to approve the funding.
Congress needs to fund this deportation operation. It's going to be expensive, and everybody is focused on how expensive it's going to be. We need to understand it's going to be expensive in the beginning, but in the long run, it's going to save billions of dollars in taxpayers' money.
Now, Homan went on to claim that illegal immigration remains the biggest national security challenge for the United States. In fact, earlier this month, Homan interacted with Border Patrol agents in Texas and stressed the need to carry out Donald Trump's mass deportations.
Heels of the biggest illegal immigration crisis we've ever seen in this nation, there has to be a massive deportation operation, because 9 out of 10 of these people, based on 10 years of data, well, they'll lose their case, get order removal. If we don't remove them, what the hell are we doing? President Trump is going to shut down the border. We're going to have a massive deportation operation, and we're going to try to find over 300,000 children that were released by this administration. I guarantee you, some are in forced labor, some are in the sex trade. We're going to save those children and get them back to their families.
Now, Homan, who's been chosen to lead the mass deportations, added that ICE would need funds to increase its inventory from 40,000 to 100,000 beds. He also said that without an increase in the number of beds documenting and holding millions of illegal migrants for mass deportations would be a logistical nightmare. Meanwhile, Donald Trump continues to repeat that he will begin the mass deportations on day one after taking office. And while speaking at a conference in Arizona last weekend, the president-elect reiterated his intentions about the deportations.
Every foreign gang member will be expelled, and I will immediately designate the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We're going to do it immediately. and will unleash the full power of federal law enforcement, ICE, Border Patrol.
Now, without approval from Congress, Donald Trump's mass deportations faces major funding roadblocks and logistical hurdles. With his own border czar warning about the high cost of operations, just how will Donald Trump navigate the funding conundrum to carry out one of the biggest election promises?
All right, thank you very much, Junior. And now, new developments this afternoon in the death of 17-month-old Hannah Yonko. Her mother is accused of killing her. That mother could be tried next year.
Chanel Yonko is charged with capital murder and could be indicted by a grand jury soon. Yonko appeared in court this morning for a status hearing. She only spoke to spell her name. Yonko is accused of throwing her daughter from the third-floor balcony of the beachfront Palms Hotel. Investigators say baby Hannah had injuries consistent with a fall and puncture wounds in her back. Since she's charged with capital murder, prosecutors say the death penalty is a possibility in the case, and the judge overseeing it indicated she wants it to go to trial in the next year.
It will take some time to try the case just because it's a capital murder, and that's not something you try very quickly. We are under no timeline to make that decision, so we can go to grand jury and get her indicted for capital murder and file to seek the death penalty at a later date.
Right now, Yonko remains in jail, being held on no bond. Her next court date is in January.
In the Middle East, ceasefire talks between Israel and Hamas have once again stalled, leaving Gaza's children to endure unimaginable suffering as the war rages on. In just 48 hours, 3 infants succumbed to the bitter cold in makeshift tents. Overwhelmed and under-resourced, Gaza's hospitals are unable to keep pace with the crisis. Israel's relentless assault on the Strip is now not just a war, but a graveyard for a generation. In our next report, we uncover the depths of this tragedy.
The war in Gaza has unfolded as a humanitarian nightmare. Over 45,400 Palestinians have been killed, with at least 17,400 children among the dead. These are not just numbers. They represent lives cut short, dreams shattered, and futures stolen.
أنا بوجه رسالة للعالم كلها إنه حرام اللي بيصير بأطفالنا هذا. أنا بنتي راحت شهيدة لقمة العيش وما بدي حد تاني يصير فيه نفس اللي صار فيها وما يحسس أي حدا في اللي أنا حاسس فيه. بوجه لكبارنا ولكبار الدول كلها يعني بناشد العالم كلها إنهم بس يطلعوا.
On Christmas Day, the youngest victim, a 3-week-old Sela Mahmoud Al-Fasi, froze to death in a makeshift tent in western Gaza. Her parents, displaced by Israeli airstrikes, tried to keep her warm as temperatures dropped to 9 degrees Celsius.
صحينا الصبح لقيناها معضة على لسانها ومتشنجة من كثر السقعة، لقيناها زي الخشب وعرضناها على المستشفى اللي بيقولنا هذا من آثار السقعة، وقف عند القلب وصار ما حدا جنبه. البنت من كثر البرد اتجمدت، عايشين في خيمة وضعها صعب، بننام على رمل، فيش عندنا حمامات متغطى، فيش الخيمة عندنا.
Sela is not alone. In the past 48 hours, 2 other infants, a 3-day-old and a 1-month-old, have succumbed to hypothermia. Gaza's under-resourced hospitals, with just 20% of neonatal units operational, are overwhelmed.
الأجهزة الحيوية لدى هذه الطفلة ومفارقة الحياة. هذا يعني مثال صارخ على عواقب هذه الحرب الظالمة على أهل قطاع غزة، خصوصا الأطفال. الأطفال الرضع لا يتحملوا درجات الحرارة المنخفضة. يجب بأي
Premature babies are dying because of the lack of ventilators, and doctors face the unbearable task of trying to save as many as they can.
تشهد لله على الجوال بعد 3 شهور شفت صورته على الجوال، وأنا نفسي أحضنه، نفسي أردها، يعني كل يوم صدري بجاني مش قادرة، نفسي أردها. يعني هل بعد 7 شهور ابني بده يرجع يرضع مني؟ مستحيل، هذا إشي سابع المستحيلات، إشي صعب جدا. يعني نفسي منى عيني ابني يرضع مني.
The Israeli offensive has turned Gaza into a graveyard for its children. At least 710 babies under 1 have died. So have 1,793 toddlers and at least 1,205 preschoolers. 4,205 primary school-aged children have also been killed, with at least 3,442 high school kids, and thousands more than that either lie beneath the rubble or are missing but presumed dead. And displacement has only deepened the suffering. Thousands of families fled in summer clothes, now struggling against winter's chill, with children struggling to wear the clothes that can give them enough heat to survive the cold.
Gaza must be one of the most heartbreaking places on earth for humanitarians. Every small effort to save a child's life is undone by fierce devastation. Children in Gaza are cold, sick, and traumatized. Right now, over 96% of women and children in Gaza cannot meet their basic nutritional needs. Most are surviving on rationed flour, lentils, pasta, and canned food, a diet that slowly compromises their health.
Even in designated safe zones like Al-Mawasi in western Gaza, the horrors persist. These areas, claimed to offer refuge, have been repeatedly bombed. Families live in nylon tents, on frozen ground, exposed to the wind and rain, where food, clean water, and medicine are also scarce.
مهاجرة كنت في 48 وطلعنا هجرنا كم سنة وطلعوا اليهود ورجعنا لوطننا ما عملوا فينا هيك للأمانة فاهم كيف هذا شيء رهيب يما يعني اللي انقطع راسه واللي انقطعت ايده والأطفال الزمنا احنا شعب ناس بيوت الله أكبر ايش احنا حيوانات هم عندهم الحيوان أحسن منا لازم يعرفوا هذا القانون الدول اللي برا وأمريكا هي اللي عاملة حالها.
International voices have condemned the crisis, with UNICEF labeling Gaza. The United Nations Secretary-General has even placed Israel on its list of shame for violations against children during armed conflict. And the Gaza Strip, that was already burdened by years of blockade, now endures unimaginable tragedy. These children, traumatized by war, robbed of their rights, are more than victims. They are the lost generation of Gaza, and their futures are slipping away. As the death toll climbs, the world watches, and the question remains: how many more must die before it all comes to an end?
More breaking news to get to here at 5. Quite a story. A baby left in the middle of the road on Christmas Day in Adams County.
There's so many questions. The 1-month-old abandoned in the median wearing only a diaper in this cold weather. Fox 31's Nate Bell getting some new information from authorities tonight. He joins us live now. Nate, what have you learned?
Yeah, guys, we're here at it's kind of the intersection of Pecos and Del Norte, north side of Denver. We want to show you this intersection here. This is where the Adams County Sheriff tells us that this morning they had gotten a 911 call. It was about just before 9:30. I just talked with the PIO, the officer from the Adams County Sheriff's Office, and they tell me that somebody was just kind of walking through the area. They happened to notice that child that was in a car seat in the median there. There's kind of like a raised median in the middle of the street. That's where they found him. They got him out of the road. They called 911. Detectives came out here. They were searching the area. I talked to one of the employees of the gas station across the street here. They tell me police came in and got that security footage as well. They're looking for anybody that they can. Now, not long ago, this is only about half an hour ago, the Adams County Sheriff put out out there on Twitter and X that they were able to get in touch with family members of this infant. They are currently continuing the investigation. The PIO from the sheriff's office tells me that that infant is currently at the Children's Hospital. They're checking it out for any kind of injury. Obviously, they were out here in the elements this morning in the cold. It's obviously raining now. They were out of here before then, but they are keeping track of the infant's health. He said that it seems to be okay. Everything it seems to be in order, but they are in contact with family members now, and they are still investigating whether they need to pursue any kind of criminal charges in this incident. Again, that child is safe. They are with the sheriff's office, and they are now in contact with that child's family. So we'll continue to keep you updated on any updates in this investigation. But for now, I want to send it back to you guys in the studio. Reporting live from Denver, Nate Belt, Fox 31.
Yeah.
Child neglect after they say her baby was found alone at the Hard Rock Casino in soiled diaper. The baby was alone for about 30 minutes before police arrived. A worker told officers that 3 men left that child alone. Eventually, police made contact with the baby's mother, Ruby Verduzco, who they say was intoxicated, and they took her into custody. The baby is now in the care of DCF, and an investigation is underway. Verduzco is charged with child neglect without bodily harm.
If you own a cat, you need to hear this. Cat food that was sold here in Georgia is being recalled after a cat died of bird flu. The recall is for Northwest Naturals 2-pound feline turkey recipe raw frozen pet food. The company says that food tested positive for bird flu. Agriculture officials in Oregon say it led to the death of 1 cat. The recall packages have a best if used by dates of May 21st, 2026 and June 23rd, 2026.
This sanctuary typically welcomes in visitors for tours, but today you could see it's quiet and it's expected to stay this way for at least a couple of months. The Como 4 drone shows empty animal enclosures at this wildcat sanctuary in Shelton. The Advocacy Center announced more than half of its big cats as of this month have been infected with bird flu.
It's been one big nightmare, really. I mean, never thought something like this would happen to us. Maybe only in a facility that had cats near each other, and ours are spread out over 5 acres.
The tragedy has deeply affected the sanctuary workers who are grieving the loss of 20 animals that were part of worldwide wildcat conservation efforts. They include a tiger, cougars, lynxes, bobcats, and other big cats.
Tabby, she was my favorite tiger. The day before Thanksgiving, we had 37 cats. Today we have 17 cats, 4 recovering.
The viral infection carried by wild birds can spread through bird-to-bird contact and can impact other mammals that eat birds or bird droppings. We're told cats are very vulnerable and symptoms happen fast, often killing the animals within days from conditions like pneumonia.
Feeling devastated, kind of in shock, and just taking really good care of those ones who are recovering.
Director Mark Matthews says in his 20 years running the sanctuary, they've never experienced anything like this. Now the nonprofit is taking extensive measures, like washing boots and suiting up in PPE before entering the sanctuary as they prepare to disinfect everything. It's why the sanctuary is under quarantine to protect their remaining animals and will stay closed to the public for now. For now, reporting in Shelton, Jackie Kent, KOMO News.
It's a feat that until recently, space scientists could only dream about. But now, NASA is on the brink of better understanding the atmosphere around the sun.
It is 3.8 million miles from the sun's surface. It is breaking all of these records, and it's just a total yay, we did it moment.
On the morning of Christmas Eve, the Parker space probe was scheduled to travel about 6 million kilometers from our star's surface, putting it within the sun's corona, its outermost atmospheric layer. A NASA official putting the distance in context with a football metaphor. If the Earth and Sun represent end zones on the field, the probe would be on the 4-yard line.
Liftoff.
The probe launched in 2018 and first entered the sun's corona in 2021. It determined the boundaries of the corona adjust like waves based on energy coming from the star.
2 of the most challenging scientific mysteries in astrophysics occur in a region that we call solar corona.
Noor Rawafi is the project scientist for the probe. He says those mysteries are the corona's temperature, which is about 300 times hotter than the sun's surface, and the origins of solar winds.
The way Parker Solar Probe will help us understand how these big colossal events
affect the medium they are flying through, but also help us understand how particles can accelerate to almost the speed of light, rendering them a hazard to space equipment.
Parker has withstood temperatures above 1300 degrees Celsius, offering the world a glimpse at technology that could protect satellites from future geomagnetic storms.
The fact that it has survived 22 encounters with the sun with ever decreasing distances to the corona talks to a great advance in the technology.
Because of its proximity to the sun, the team has lost contact with the probe and won't be able to communicate with it until Friday. That's when Parker may start to shed light on mysteries at the center of our solar system. Kyle Benning, Global News.